So in terms of issues currently before the Commission, one of the biggest controversies is concerned the rooftop solar and how the payments with that between the customer and the utility are arranged. Another big controversy has been to what degree should we open up electric markets to greater competition. So those have been two of the big ones. To cover them a bit more, the solar issue is what was commonly called net metering. Many of you may have seen the advertisements. The utility industry spent over $4 million and the solar industry spent probably $500,000 trying to convince the average public of their positions and to sway the Commission. So what happens here is if you install rooftop solar on your home, then when you are producing power in the spring, in the middle of the day, you're producing more than you're using. You send that power back out onto the grid. And then in the evenings, you're pulling power from the larger grid back to your house in the middle of the summer. When your solar may not produce enough power, you're also relying on the grid. So that's the idea of the net metering. Basically, when you're drawing power in, the meter spins for the utility. When you send your solar power back out to the rest of the customers, you spin the meter backwards. And at the end of the year, you pay based on your net use. What happened is Arizona Public Service made a claim that they believed the rest of the customers were subsidizing the solar customers by $50 to $100 per month because of that benefit from the grid. The solar industry responded by saying no, in fact, the utilities should be paying more. Instead of our local utilities having to build new capacity, homeowners have spent $10,000, $20,000 or $30,000 putting a solar array on their roof. And in addition, when we need power, we don't have to bring it down from a great distance and lose 10 or 15% of the power along the transmission lines. We can take the power from a solar homeowner and share it with their neighbors. So this is the controversy that came before the Commission. The Commission made a decision, and I believe they made a premature decision. The problem here is both entities, both the power utilities and the solar industry, were raising very valid points, but they both had biased studies that ignored each other's points and just tried to make their own case. Well, the Corporations Commission's job is to sit as a quasi-judicial body and make a decision based on the facts. Well, the problem is they didn't have facts in front of them. They had biased studies. What I argued is that what we should do is we should commission a study. We should get the cost, the benefits, and the rate impacts, not just of solar, but of other renewable supplies, our traditional supplies, the coal, natural gas, nuclear that we currently use. With that information in front of us, we should make a decision. What the Commission did decide is they agreed basically with APS that the solar customers were being subsidized, but they did not agree to the magnitude of what APS was looking for. In the end, last fall, they adopted a fee of approximately $5 per month or 70 cents per kilowatt of capacity to solar customers, but that average is about $5 a month. This decision will come around again. I would argue that we need to have a new commission in place before this comes around again to make sure that we will continue to invest in solar and a solar future for Arizona. The second controversy that I had mentioned briefly is to what degree will we open up the electricity markets to open competition. So for example, if you think about your telephone, for 30, 40 years ago, certainly when I was growing up, you had no choice. You had a black rotary dial phone, it came from AT&T, and you got your service from AT&T or what often was called Ma Bell. Obviously, we've completely changed that system now. You have multiple choices of where you get your phone service. You have multiple mobile phone choices. So one of the arguments has been that we should do a similar thing with the electric utilities, that instead of just having to take power from your local utility, you should be able to go on an open market and purchase power from whoever you wanted to, and your local utility would wheel it through to you. This issue was opened up, and then the Corporation Commission earlier this year decided to close the issue and end the debate on that. I support the decision they made to end the debate. I believe that we basically should be sticking with the current model of a regulated monopoly providing our power, but that we do need to look for ways that we can use private markets to increase incentives for innovation and efficiency, but only in very small ways. Clearly, Arizona has the potential to be the solar leader. I mean, Arizona should be the solar capital of the world. We should be one of the centers of solar energy research, development, innovation, and production of power. And this isn't just about rooftop solar. This is about working with our universities working with our utility companies, working with the solar companies, so that we are at the forefront of developing the technology and integrating it into our grid to provide reliable power to customers throughout the state. This is an enormous opportunity for the state of Arizona, and we were doing well. For a number of years, both at our state legislature and at our Corporation Commission, we had put in place some programs and incentives that had Arizona beginning to assert some of that leadership. The current Corporation Commission has undone the incentives for commercial. They have, through the net metering that we just discussed, they've reduced the incentives for rooftop solar. And now we have the state legislature who has been looking at adding property taxes to solar systems. Luckily, the last day of the legislature, that proposal was defeated this year, but there is a continued effort to do that. So what we're doing is we're undermining our ability to be a leader in solar power, and we're seeing the jobs and the innovative solar leadership companies moving to other parts of the country. What we need to do on the commission is make a clear statement that we want to see Arizona the solar leader, and that this is not just for production of power, this is for production of jobs and creation of new economic opportunity, and the commission can be in a leadership role of making that happen.